Hello, if you have never seen any of my videos before, my name is Adrienne and I am a former public school teacher turned homeschool mom. So I thought for the month of June that our videos could just be about summer fun. So I'm going to share some tips and things that you could try over the summer, some things that I do to kind of make our school year starting a little bit easier, some just fun stuff to do over the summer. So if you are thinking about homeschooling, June is the perfect month to start dipping your toes, so to speak, into the homeschooling realm and kind of play around with some ideas, get some things out of the way as far as learning kind of about your kids. So I think it would be good for you, especially if you are new to homeschooling or thinking about it, to designate a time during your day that you're going to do fun activities or different projects. We tend to work best in the morning, so I try and schedule all of our thinking kinds of activities before lunch, and then after lunch is kind of our chill time, my office time, nap time, all of those things. So we really try and schedule our fun stuff in the morning, but do whatever works for you. If you are a working parent and you want to try and implement some things to figure out if this is something that you could do it after dinner. It's totally up to you. Timing is not really as important. It's just important to start to get into some kind of routine and kind of mindset as to this is time to spend with the kids. This is time to do fun things together. That's really all that I think is very important, but it's very easy to kind of integrate into your already probably crazy schedule. When you start school, that way you'll be in some kind of habit of a specific learning time or a specific activity time. So this is just kind of like a practice throughout the summer doing these things, and then it won't be as much of an adjustment come school time if you decide to homeschool. And then this also helps to get your kids excited about learning. It's so fun to do different projects that you don't have time for throughout the year. I've been homeschooling for 5 years now, and I have lots of great ideas in the beginning, lots of plans in the beginning, and a lot of times things have to get pushed back just because of timing and schedules and nap times and meltdowns of the toddlers. So there's not always the time to complete different activities, and I kind of put them on the back burner, and then when we have time, maybe we're taking a break from school, or maybe it's summer break, then it's time to pull out those fun things that you might not have gotten the chance to do during your regular school time. I would not call it school, especially if you're doing it over the summer. Maybe give it some other fun name. Maybe get your kids involved depending on their ages of naming this time. But you want to kind of like amp it up and get them really excited about it, that they're going to be doing fun different projects and things and kind of working together to maybe figure things out. Show them how that can be, how fun that can be, and then maybe talk about it later. So just some really basic ones that you probably don't need much prep. You could do vinegar and baking soda. You could study volcanoes. That gives you a nice little reaction. I clean all of the drains in our house with vinegar and baking soda, so that's not as exciting to my girls because they see it all the time. But if you've never done vinegar and baking soda with your kids, they're probably going to love it. Of course, Diet Coke and Mentos is another fun one. Just make sure you do that outside. You don't want to ruin your ceiling. You can even take books outside and do like a readathon outside. You can read in the grass. You can have them do like a little picnic, maybe even like a tea party outside. Art projects are fun to do over the summer when you don't have the stressful schedule that you might have during the year. You could do scavenger hunts outside. You could even experiment with like tie-dyeing things, maybe t-shirts or beach towels. You can make homemade ice cream. You can play minute to win it games. You can play board games. So really the goal here is to get them excited, get them gathered, and get them used to being together. I have a 9-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old. So obviously their levels are very different as far as learning, but they can all play games together. The goal here is to get them working together and playing together and used to that. Just because they're different ages doesn't mean that they can't play and do things together, which will also benefit your family in other ways. So this is just something that we like to do over the summer, just picking a time that you are going to have some kind of fun learning time, but don't call it learning. And then it's just a reminder for me of one of the many, many blessings of homeschooling is getting to do life with your kids and getting to see their excitement and their just joy when they're playing a game or doing silly things outside. My girls love to catch bugs outside, and they squeal and carry on the greatest amount over a little ant that they find. So kids often have a joy of learning, and we want to cultivate that and kind of capture it. And that's kind of the point of having this time that you set aside to have fun as a family. As you are doing these, it's also important, especially if you have multiple children, to study your kids, and you want to be taking kind of like a mental inventory. You want to see how they do things, what they like to do, what gets them excited, how they like to learn. You might have kids who like to read. My oldest loves to read. She will read and read and read. You might have kids who like to do things with their hands, so they're more kinesthetic learners. You might have kids that like to listen, so like audiobooks or watching videos and having people describe things or tell stories could be helpful. So all of this is kind of like researching your kids, so that as you start to prepare for the next year, you kind of know what their styles are and what their learning preferences are. As a classroom teacher, it was pretty impossible to meet every kid exactly where they were, but I did try and incorporate lots of different learning styles when I was planning my lessons, like hands-on things and auditory things and visual things. So you can do a much better job when you're homeschooling because your class size is so much smaller. So really take this time to have fun together as a family, get your kids excited about doing things together, and then take the time as a parent to really start to analyze and kind of pick apart your kid's brain, so to speak. You're really trying to figure out what makes them tick and what makes them excited, and that will make it so much easier for you when you start homeschooling and when you start doing lessons, to kind of have an idea of what gets them excited and how they like to learn. You can do school outside if that works for you. My girls like to do school on the couch. They could do it on the floor, just however they are working best and whatever you're comfortable with. So this is just kind of like getting yourself ready and kind of in the mental capacity for doing homeschooling next year. So that's something that I like to do, and just because you do it one time doesn't mean that it's all done, because if you've had children at all, you know that they are constantly changing. So what worked for your kids last year, even if you're a returning homeschool parent, you might want to start to pay extra close attention to them over the summer and see if any of their interests are changing or any of the things that they like to do are changing. Maybe even how they like to learn. I've been a visual learner pretty much my whole life, but I have heard of people who prefer one way in school and then as adults prefer different ways to learn. So it's the same with your kids. They are ever changing and ever evolving. So you want to pay attention to them this summer and kind of take some notes, maybe jot some things down as ideas come to you of how they might want to learn come school time. That's all I have for you for this video. I hope that gave you some ideas and gave you some value.